Number 4, your 56-pound son broke his leg at the park. The ER doc prescribed ibuprofen suspension, 100 milligrams per 5 milliliters. The dose for pain is 6 milligrams per kilogram every 6 hours. Note, 2.2 pounds equals 1 kilogram. How many milliliters per dose? Round to the nearest hundredth if needed. And so we need to get to milliliters. So I'm just going to make myself a little diagram of my work, what I have to do. And I'm starting with pounds. So this boy is weighed in pounds. First, I will need to convert that to kilograms, I'm pretty sure. And at the very end, I want to have milliliters, and I see that here. But I don't think I have anything that goes from kilograms to milliliters. But I do have milligrams and kilograms mentioned here, so that might help me if I go to milligrams next and then to milliliters. So when I'm looking up here, pounds, good, start with pounds. This is milligrams to milliliters, so that's going to give me this last conversion. And then milligrams per kilogram, that's going to give me this conversion. And then pounds for a kilogram, that's going to convert this part for me. So what I can do is maybe put my conversions right underneath the arrows where I have to make that conversion. So I know I have 2.2 pounds per 1 kilogram. That'll be for that first conversion. The kilograms to milligrams, I have 6 milligrams per kilogram. So let's put that 6 mg per 1 kg, 1 kilogram. And it says every 6 hours. Now I want to talk about that just briefly. If I needed to divide by 6 at the end, it would say something like in 6 divided doses. But because this one just says every 6 hours, whatever it's telling you to give, that's how much you're going to give every 6 hours. So we don't have to make any divisions at the end. We'll just leave it in milligrams per kilogram and then switch to milliliters and do no divide by 6. Okay, last one is 100 milligrams per 5 milliliters. That's going to help me with this conversion. So I have 100 milligrams per 5 milliliters. Now if you wanted to, you could reduce this one. So 5 goes into 120 times, and you could also write it as 20 milligrams per 1 milliliter if you wanted, or you can just leave it in its original form. It's going to work either way. So let's start off then. I know back here I have 56 pounds, and I want to know how many kilograms. So I'm going to need to have a conversion fact, which I wrote in order here for myself. So I have 2.2 pounds over 1 kilogram. And then I'm looking at my denominators. It's x and 1, and so I can just multiply both sides by 1 times x, or x. So multiply this side by x, and then I can see that my x's are going to reduce on the left hand side, and the 1 doesn't reduce with anything on the right. So I'm left with 56 equals 2.2x, and then I want to divide both sides by that 2.2. On the right hand side, my 2.2 is reduced to 1, so I have 1 times x. So let's plug that into the calculator. It's 56 divided by 2.2, and so I get x equals 25.45, and you can see the 45 repeats. So I'll just put it with a line, but I'm leaving it on my calculator so I can use this value here in my next calculation. I don't want to retype it in because I'll lose a bunch of decimal precision that the calculator is storing but not displaying. So I'll leave it as 25.45, and I want to make sure I write down that we were trying to find x kilograms, so this is the number of kilograms that the son weighs. So I've done this first calculation, so I'm on to the next one. I want to go from kilograms to milligrams using this fact. So I will write 25.45 repeating kilograms over X milligrams, because I don't know how many it's equal to, and then use my fact here. It looks like I'm going to have to flip it over so that I have kilograms over milligrams, because that's how I started my left hand side. So I'll have 1 kilogram per 6 milligrams, and then looking at my two denominators, I'll multiply both sides by 6x, and then I can reduce. My 6's reduced to 1 and I'm left with an x here. My x is reduced to 1 and I'm left with a 6 here. So I need to take that 25.45 repeating, which is sitting right there on my calculator, and multiply it by 6. So I'm going to do that. So just times 6 equals. And on the right hand side you can see that I have my x, because it's x times 1, so that's all that I have left there. I'm going to bring this over to the right, and I'll have 152.72, and the 7.2 looks like it's repeating, and that was going to be milligrams because I have x milligrams here, so milligrams equals x. So now I know how many milligrams, so I've done this conversion, and I'm on to my last conversion. Remember, you can use the reduced form of this fact or the built-up form that you were given for the problem. It's up to you. And then I will set it up again, so 152.72 milligrams. I'm converting to milliliters, so it's x mLs equals, and I need milligrams over milliliters because that's what I wrote the first part with, or the first ratio. And so I'd either put in the 100 over 5, or I'll just show it to you with the reduced form and you can check it. So I have 20 milligrams over 1 milliliter. And now both sides, milligrams over milliliters, so it's perfect. And then I want to look at my two denominators, x and 1, so I'll just multiply both sides by that product, which is just an x. And then reduce where I can, so my x's reduce on the left and I'm left with 20x on the right. So I'm going to write that down. I have 152.72 repeating equals 20x. I want the x by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by 20. My 20's will reduce. And on the left, I have to do that division. I have that 152.72 repeating on the calculator already, so I'm just going to click on divide, and then 20 equals. And there I get x equals, my result is 7.6363, and that is repeating, but at this point it says round to the nearest hundredth, so I'm ready to do that. I need to round to this position. The following number is a 6, so I will bump it up, so it will be 7.64 milliliters per dose.